Happy Saturday, everyone, and whatever day those of you happen to be joining me later are on. Let's begin today lying down. And if you have a block, I encourage you to grab that and start in supported bridge. And if you don't have a block and you do yoga with me regularly, I encourage you to get 2 blocks. I'm going to use them more and more. I love them. And they make yoga more fun and creative. And so I encourage you to get a hold of them. You can send me an email and ask which ones I like, but it doesn't really matter. You just need to. So we will start lying down. You'll bring a block if you have one. And supported bridge is knees bent. You bring your heels slightly towards your rear end, take the block and slide it under your sacrum. I recommend the middle setting. If you need the lowest setting, you can do that. I do not recommend the highest setting. And allow yourself to settle in and arrive here on your mat. If you don't have a block, you can have your sacrum on the floor or bring soles of the feet together, knees apart, and come into Supta Baddha Konasana or reclining butterfly. Both of those are restful, restorative positions where I would like to begin today. So taking a moment to let yourself transition and arrive, bringing mind, body, and spirit all onto your mat for a moment, letting them come together in one space. And noticing particularly your nervous system that you're bringing with you today and how it feels. And whether you're in butterfly or supported bridge, noticing, pausing and noticing what feels good, what needs attention. If you're in supported bridge, notice the blood flow returning back towards your head a little bit, resetting. Notice your hip flexors. Notice your belly. And draw your attention to what feels good. We are default programmed to notice what doesn't feel good. And we often think we need to fix that to feel better. And the invitation today is to notice what feels good, to connect with the pleasure that's already there. Let your nervous system enjoy what is to be enjoyed as a practice of retraining. And I like to teach yoga as a practice of yoga, but it's not really about practicing yoga to get better at yoga. It's about practicing yoga to get better at life. And all of these things that we practice on our mat also need to be practiced off our mat. And so this idea of connecting to what feels good and allowing yourself to enjoy it. Giving yourself some moments to rest and intentionally restore. And to choose what's comfortable. And to gift yourself support and things that help, like a block or a bolster. Taking time to let your body, mind, spirit, heart, nervous system all arrive and land and work together. And while we practice those at yoga, we also want to practice those in life. And so we'll take a moment here to really enjoy, to practice enjoying, practice connecting to pleasure, practice paying attention to things that you love and are going well, that make you feel good.
And when those things that feel achy or sad or frustrating come in, you can notice them and choose to draw your attention to something that feels kind. It might feel kind to attend to those, but likely not to dwell on those. Noticing that there are things that feel good and bad all at the same time. And as you're here, breathing in and breathing out, you'll notice your chest rise and fall. You'll notice the sensation shift. And allow yourself to just notice them, to enjoy if there's anything to be enjoyed. Take a moment to wiggle fingers and toes and notice how they feel. And a moment to come back to your breath, the rise and fall of the breath. Let yourself enjoy it. And we'll be here for 3 more breaths. So let yourself really settle in. Let the breath nourish you. Let the pose nourish you. Allow a slowness and a stillness that perhaps you want to invite into your life a bit more off the mat. Remembering throughout our journey today that all that we practice here on the mat is practice for life. What of it might you like to bring with you? And taking in a big, deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly all the way up into your pelvis, and exhale, let it out. And you'll lift your hips up if you're on the block. Slowly slide the block out and lower your hips down to the floor. And practicing taking a moment to transition, practicing giving your body time to transition, your mind time to transition, transitioning to this time period for you on the mat. We'll bring both knees into chest, bring your hands to your shins, and have a rock. Massage your sacrum, letting it feel good, enjoying it, letting your mind notice the good part. Bring a hand to the outer edge of your feet. Come into a happy baby if that works for you. Draw knees towards the floor and have another rock. Noticing opening, wiggling toes. Notice the fingers and the skin of the hand on the soles of the feet if you're reaching there. And maybe straight one leg and bend, straight the other leg and bend. Bring soles of the feet together. Press the heels in towards your groin. Move your chest out of the way if you need to and have a rock. Release hands, lower feet to the earth. Bring a hand to heart and a hand to belly and check in. Practicing checking in for life. Taking a brief pause, a big deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, letting things go with intention. Bring hands to the outer edges of your thighs, draw knees together, helping yourself. Bring your right knee into your chest, hands come to the shin, extend the left leg long. Left toes reach towards the sky, Left leg is relaxed, but still pay attention to it. Wiggle the toes. Toes will reach to the sky. Hug that knee in towards you. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale, let it release into the hip socket. Hug it in towards you once again, squeezing tight. Remembering you can give yourself hugs in all these different fashions. Breathing in and out. Hands come to the back of the thigh. Extend right leg towards the sky. Enjoy the back of the leg. Flex your ankle and breathe. Breathe in. Exhale, point your toe. Inhale, flex your ankle, toes towards your nose. Point your toe. Once more, flex the ankle. Point your toe. Enjoying all the juiciness of that. Bend your knee. Release your foot. Release your hands, bring your foot to the floor, and bend the left knee to meet the right. Take a moment to find your sacrum and transition. Untuck any shoulders, anything that needs attention. Draw left knee into your chest, hug it tight. Extend your right leg. Wiggle the toes. Huge breath in. Exhale, drop the hip laterally. Inhale, squeeze it, hug it tight. Exhale, drop laterally. Bring hands to the back of the thigh, extend your leg. Point and flex your toe slowly, intentionally. Let yourself enjoy the shin, the toes, the ankle, all the things. And breathe. Pause and breathe. Rebend your knee, lower the foot, release hands, and extend the left leg alongside the right. And notice how you feel. Palms open to the sky. Just take a moment to breathe and soften and experience. Notice your nervous system. Notice fingers, notice toes. Notice the breath. Breathe in and out. Bend both knees once again. Flip your palms to the floor. Heels will come towards your rear end. Press your hips up, coming into an active bridge. Shimmy your shoulders underneath you. Lift your hips as high as you can. Grab the outer edge of the mat. Tug the mat towards your heels and lift up high, high, high. Engaging everything. Knees energetically connected. Enjoy the squeeze, the opening, the awakening, breathing. Don't forget to breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Practicing for life, remembering to breathe. We hold our breath so often, especially in medicine. Breathe in, lift up your hips as high as you can. Exhale, let it out, untuck shoulders and roll down slowly, being kind to your spine. Taking good care of your body as you move. Untuck your shoulders, making sure they're not wonky. Right ankle comes to left knee. Hands will thread through. Grab the back of the left thigh. Come into figure four if you can. Press right elbow into right knee and rock. Massage your back. Massage the outer right hip. Enjoy it. Come to stillness. Hug the left thigh a wee bit closer. Send the breath to the tight spots. Potentially roll ankles if that feels good. And notice these tiny, subtle movements. Subtle is significant. Wiggle toes, pointing and flexing them. Lower left foot to the floor. Release your hands to an easy cactus shape. Twist to the left. Right sole of the foot's going to land on the floor. Outer right thigh is going to land on the floor. And enjoy a figure four stretch. You might notice your hip. If you have room, you can gaze to the right. Let it in, enjoy it, soak it up. Breathe in and out. One more big breath here. Breathe in. Huge exhale, maybe like the horse's breath. Little bubbles. Bring gaze to center, knees back to center. Readjust your sacrum with kindness. Lower the right foot. Left ankle comes to right knee. Hands thread through to the back of the right thigh. Figure four on this side. Kindness attends to both sides. Rolling, massaging the outer left hip as you roll as far to the left as you wish. Left elbow presses into left knee. Potentially roll ankles. Notice how that feels as you are still. Spread toes wide and relax them. Release the thigh. Hands come above you in an easy cactus shape. Lower right foot to the floor. Drop knees and left foot to the right, coming into a figure four twist here. Let it be delicious, luxurious. Even if you notice some little tweaks, send the breath there. There are little text messages, calls for attention, calls for breath. If you can, gaze to the left. Being kind to your neck. Sometimes our necks want to gaze, sometimes they don't. Try a horse's breath here, big breath in, and that fluttery lips on that way out. Gaze back to center, knees back to center. Untangle shoulders, lower left knee. Reorganize your sacrum here. Bringing hands back by your sides, you'll bring the palms of your hands to the floor. Raise your right knee in the air, shin will be parallel to the floor. Raise your left knee to meet it. Raise right leg to the sky and left leg to meet it. And taking a moment to find your center here with the legs. So your legs are reaching to the sky, but without too much effort. Notice the stability of the sacrum and the back. You might even have a little rock to find that center. Point your toes. Flex your ankles towards your nose. Point toes. Flex the ankles towards your nose. Point the left toe and flex the right ankle and alternate sides here. And speed that up. You're just going to point and flex. It's a little bit of brain attention and enjoying the stretch and the blood flow and the energy in the legs. Pointing one toe, flexing the other, and switching sides. And keep going. And keep breathing. Keep going. And we'll pause for a moment. Roll your ankles out, circling them outward and inward. Enjoying the ankles, shins, knees. Come to stillness. Spread your toes as wide as you can. Heels are still reaching towards the ceiling. Ankles are flexed. And just notice the toe spread. What happens? Release. You'll lower the right leg, bend the knee, lower it to the floor. Lower the left leg, bend the knee, lower it to the floor. And take a pause here for a moment, just noticing how you feel. 3 breaths. Allowing that energy from the feet and shins to circulate. Notice when it arrives in different spots. And when you feel ready, you could roll to one side and come up to a seat.
And when you arrive seated, stretch your legs wide, coming into a wide angle pose. Flex your ankles. Your toes are going to be right in line with your knees. Ankles are flexed. Engage your belly. Walk your hands between your thighs, flat back, hinge at the waist, and walk forward little by little by little, and pause where it feels good, where you feel the stretch, where you feel the energy shift, but not too much. Practicing noticing that spot, and breathe. Exhale, hinge forward a wee bit more if you have a little room. And if you have a block, you can put your forearms on the block. It's really lovely. Notice if that feels good. Point your toes and flex your ankles towards your knees, no, waist. Point the toes once again and bring the ankles back to neutral. Sliding up. You'll bring your hands behind you this time. Spread your fingers wide, cupcakes underneath so you're not smushing the frosting. Pick up your hips and slide them forward a little bit. Puff your heart space out. Extend your elbows. Huge breath in, sitting up as tall as you can. Align your spine. Crown of the head's going to reach towards the sky. Huge breath in. And exhale, release. One more big breath in, as big as you can. Heart is shining forward. Let that heart be seen like a flashlight. Exhale, release. Let it out. Bend, release your hands, bend right knee, bring the right sole of your foot into the left inner thigh. Release your hands. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky, wiggle your fingers, engage your belly. Exhale, twist towards that left foot and lower towards the left calf, thigh, foot, knee, wherever. You'll have a lovely twist in the right side body. Drop head and neck and breathe into it, enjoying it. 3 big breaths into every nook and cranny of the right waist. Nourishing it with the breath. If your left hand wants to come into the right hip crease, you can have a little more twist that way. Only if it feels good. Last breath. Sliding up the left leg. You'll release your left hand if it's behind you. Right hand is going to drop about 18 inches behind the right hip. Drop left toes to the right and lift up into wild thing and have a little stretch and enjoy it. Roll that left wrist. Outer edge of the left foot is going to be on the earth. Stretching, rolling, enjoying. Huge breath in here as you stretch and enjoy that left side body, every bit of it. Letting yourself enjoy spreading out, taking up space. Lower the hips, coming back to seated. You'll bend your left knee, bringing it in towards center. You're going to cross that left knee over right, coming into what we call cow face pose, which is a silly name. But you'll be knee on top of knee, hands on ankles. If this doesn't work for you, you can come to cross-legged with 1 foot on top or 1 foot in front. Do whichever feels right for you. If you are in cow face pose, your knees will be on top, hands will be on the ankles. Notice your hips and have a little rock, even them out so they feel fun and flat. Huge inhale, tilt the pelvic bowl forward and sit up nice and tall. Drop your shoulders, huge breath in. Exhale, release the breath. Heart is shining forward even more. You can tug those ankles a wee bit closer to you if that feels good. Big breath in, sit nice and tall. Heart filling with breath and your chest puffing out proudly, even though we don't practice that very often. Releasing it. You can release your hands And we're going to extend your hands wide, palms face forward, coming into eagle arms. If you need to switch your legs here, you can do that. The legs make it a little bit trickier and a little more fun and distracting. But if you want to sit cross-legged, do that. Wrap your arms, right elbow under left, palms will face the back wall and hands come together. Inhale, lift elbows to shoulder height and pause here. Breathe in and breathe out. If you grab your thumbs, that's fine. If your palms reach, just do what works for your body, being kind. Breathe in and breathe out. Once again, sending the breath to encircle the heart, to lift the heart, to help it shine forward here. And letting yourself enjoy the interscapular space here. Breathe in, nourishing it. Breathe out, letting go, and perhaps dropping chin to chest without lowering your elbows. Just notice how it feels. Chin back to neutral and breathe. Inhale and exhale. One more breath here, holding it. Release your arms, lower them down. Untangle your legs and you'll stretch them wide into the wide angle pose once again. Find your sit bones, have a little rock, move the flesh of your seat with kindness. Place hands on the floor and walk forward, hinge at the waist. Evening out your body here. Point and flex the ankles. Press the heels forward as your feet are flexed. Walk a wee bit further, releasing any tightness or kinks. Breathe. Slowly walk back up to seated. Left foot bends, left ankle, left sole of the foot comes to the right inner thigh. Take a moment to find your sit bones, engage your belly, sit up tall. Inhale, reach arms tall, and do it gracefully, elegantly. Have fun with what that might feel like. Inhale, reach tall. Exhale, twist gently towards that right foot and lower towards the right toes. Left hand will land wherever it lands, ankle, calf, thigh, whatever works. The left hand can wrap, right hand's gonna wrap into the left hip crease and drop your head and breathe into it. Letting yourself enjoy the twist. Being with your body. That's what yoga is, a practice of being there and noticing and experiencing. And giving your body time to be. Remembering that that is needed off the mat as well. We practice on the mat for life. Untangle the right hand, slowly rise up to a seat. Left hand comes about 18 inches behind the left hip, lifting up to wild thing. Right toes will drop to the left. You'll shift onto your left knee and reach the right arm over and have some fun with it. Play is important for our brain to be creative and solve problems, inviting a little lightness, perhaps roll the wrist. You can even starburst your fingers if that feels good. Let your neck do whatever it needs. And you'll lower your hips, coming back to a seat. Sitting up tall, you will cross your knees in front. Once again, you'll slide the left knee towards the right, right knee towards left. Come into cow face pose on the opposite side, or the seated double pigeon, or just cross-legged. Tilt your pelvic bowl forward, find your hips, have a little rock and a massage. Enjoy any release that you find here. And let it be light. Don't twist yourself up into a pretzel. I realize you might look like a pretzel here, but let it be light. Have a little rock and have a little fun with whatever your body can do here. No judgment needed. When you find a stable spot, reach your arms out wide again. Palms will face forward. Wiggle the fingers. Cross them in front, left elbow in front of right. Palms will face the back wall, palms come together or thumbs together, whatever works for you. Raise elbows to shoulder height, coming into eagle pose. And notice here, you really are wrapped up like a pretzel. And yet a lot of it feels delicious. Letting yourself soak it in, breathing in and enjoying. Breathing out tension. Breathing in the softness, the breath, and the buoyancy. And breathing out any resistance, stickiness, stuckness. Notice with the out breath what shifts. Breathe in. Exhale. If you wish to drop your chin to your chest while leaving your elbows up high, you can try that. Notice what happens. Bring your chin back to neutral. Untangle your arms. Stretch them wide. Pinch your scapula together and release. Lower arms, untangle legs, stretch your legs long, do a little shake of the knees, move the flesh of your seat out of the way. Once again, banging the knees. Find stillness. Move the flesh of your seat if you need to find your sit bones. Tilt your pelvis forward. Heart is going to shine forward once again. Sitting up tall, reach the crown of your head elegantly to the sky. Inhale, reach your arms elegantly, wiggle your fingers. Huge breath in. Exhale, fold forward towards the toes. Knees don't have to be straight. Allow your head and neck to release. And just notice the sensations. Be aware of what's happening. Practicing presence. Practicing noticing. Practicing transitioning. Practicing nourishing your body. If you want to flex your ankles a wee bit more and notice, feels delicious. If you want to press your knees towards the floor a wee bit more and notice, do that. Breathe in to every nook and cranny of the back body. Exhale, bend elbows, fold forward a wee bit more. Release hands, slowly slide up, and we will come to hands and knees. Take a minute to find a good spot. If you need a knee pad, use a blanket of any kind. Doesn't have to be fancy. Spread fingers wide, press the palms into the floor, press your knuckles down, engage your elbows into, so your arms are straight. Bring the humeral heads into the shoulder sockets. Your back is flat. Crown of the head is reaching forward. Huge breath in. Arch your back, stick your rear end towards the sky. Crown of the head reaches tall, cow pose. Exhale into cat, reaching the spine as tall towards the sky as you can. Inhale for cow, letting this be luxurious and feel good. Practice attending to your belly, your lower back, and round into cat pose. Come back to a flat back and take a moment here to notice how you feel. Breathe in and out. Ground into that left palm, making sure it's stable and you're kind to your wrist. Engage your belly. Inhale the right arm up towards the sky. We're going to come in to thread the needle. Bring the left hand between the, right hand between the left hand and the left knee. Right ear is going to land on the floor, and the back of the right shoulder will land a bit on the floor. You can press the back of the right hand to the floor and extend left arm long. Stretch the left armpit. You'll be breathing and looking towards your right hand in that little triangle. See if you can extend the left leg for fun. And see if you can lift up your left leg, coming into a little bit of a balanced pose. If it's fun, you can roll the left ankle, bringing in a little bit of lightness.
And a little bit of just massaging your joints wherever you happen to be. What a practice for life. Lowering the left foot, bend the left knee. Take a moment here to enjoy that right shoulder. Wiggle left fingers a little longer, stretch the armpit, breathe. Bring left hand back by your face, press into your hands, untangle, and do a really delicious untangle stretch. Reach towards the sky, roll your wrist, come back, 2 hands and knees, and have a little rock, finding center. Weight is into the right hand, right arm. Inhale, lift the left hand high, stretching the whole chest open, wiggle fingers. Exhale, thread it through right hand and right knee. Back of the arm presses into the floor, palm reaches to the sky. Left ear on the earth, stretch the right hand long forward. Enjoy this for a moment or two. And notice. And notice that it can feel good even when you're twisted up like a pretzel. If it's fun, stretch that right leg long. And if it's fun, you can raise it up in the air and have a little balance, and you can roll your ankle. Being kind to your ankles and your feet. They do tons of work for you. Lower the foot down. Bend your knee. Take a moment. Bring right hand to face. Press and untangle, reaching tall. And back to hands and knees. Set yourself up. We're going to come right up into downward dog. Palms, a hand print forward, curl your toes, and lift up high, high, high. And take a moment to enjoy the dog. Walk the feet, bend the knees, maybe sway side to side. Yoga doesn't have to be serious, and life doesn't always have to be serious, even when not fun things are happening. Sometimes a little shake and a little wiggle helps. Shifts the energy. Ground the left ball of your foot into the earth. Engage your belly. Raise your right leg to the sky for a moment. Press the heel into the back wall. Enjoy the front of the left hip. Huge breath in. Exhale, gently bring your knee between your hands. Come into a low lunge. Back knee is going to land on the earth. And take a minute to organize yourself. Wiggle the right toes a little further forward, so right knee is not beyond the right ankle. Tuck your right hip back, left hip forward. Hands can be on your hips till you find what feels good. And if your left knee needs a pad, be sure to have that. And reach arms to the sky. Huge breath in and out. Inhale, reach tall. Sending some breath to the left hip flexor. Exhale, sink in. One more big breath here. Lower hands to either side of your foot. You're going to curl your back toes and lift up into a long pyramid. Your back leg's going to be way long. It's not the short pyramid. If you have blocks, highly recommend them here. Your back can then be flat, and you'll notice a completely different experience with a long pyramid with the blocks. So try it if you have them. 2 breaths into the back of that right leg. Turn your left heel to the right. We're going to come cartwheel open into warrior 2 here. Reaching your arms up, bend that front knee, and reach hands in either direction. And warrior 2, all the warrior poses
are poses to help you feel strong. They're a practice for life, as I like to say. So we all have that kind of inner warrior, but actually to stand here, we're not muscling through it. We're softening in. We're paying attention to the little tiny muscles in your feet and your fingers. You're finding balance. You're engaging your belly. So notice all the little things that happen here as we stand tall and proud. And even if you don't feel proud, sometimes just coming into a warrior when you're feeling tired or defeated, notice how you feel when you're here. It's a great strategy. Flip the front palm towards the sky. Drop your left hand down your left thigh. Reach right arm over, coming into peaceful or elegant warrior. Enjoy the front of the right torso. Breathe in. Exhale, slide the left fingers a wee bit farther down towards the back of the left knee. Let the right fingers be light towards the crease between the ceiling and the back wall. One more breath here, enjoying it. Cartwheel to warrior two. Hop your back foot out about 6 inches, twist forward, come into warrior one. You have a bit of a long warrior one here because of where you started, and that's fine. You'll bend your front knee, ensure that your front foot, the toes are pointing directly to the front of the mat, and your arms are reaching tall. If you are tippy, like I am today apparently, widen your stance and shorten your stance. That will help. Reaching arms to the sky. If you have funky shoulders, bring your hands to heart. Feels good. One is not better than the other. And enjoy the left calf, reaching the heel towards the floor. It may or may not touch. And once again here, in this warrior, notice how it feels as you stand tall. Notice what's engaged, what's relaxing. It's always a balance of all of them. We don't muscle through. Breathing in through your nose, pour it into the back of your hands if your hands are at heart. And exhale, let it out. And for fun, we're going to shift into warrior three. If you wish, if you don't, stay right where you are. You're going to lift up onto the back tippy toes. Press the thumbs into your heart space. So if you have your hands raised, lower them to the heart. Hands together, thumbs pressing into the sternum. Shift your weight into the front foot and slowly hop forward, lifting up that back foot and tipping forward into like a flying pose. Your back foot will raise off the earth. You can spread your arms wide if that's fun, or keep them hand to heart. Some of you might want to reach them forward. Notice what feels good without judgment. And today might be a different day than others. And the wobble in the ankle, you're strengthening your ankle. The wobble is expected, not a problem, not a deficiency. Lower your back foot to the floor. You'll lower your hands to the floor on either side of that right foot. Palms will come to the earth, bend to the knees and step back to downward dog. And stretch out here. Notice any spots that you're holding tightly. Reach the hips to the sky. They're the apex of your shape. Shake your head yes and no to let go of the holding and the tightness and the tension. Practice for life. Doing a little shake is always worthwhile. Stretching out, walking the dog, also always worthwhile if you happen to have one. Huge breath in and a huge breath out with intention. Find the ball mound of the right foot and take a moment to connect your hands into the earth. Take good care of your wrists. Engage your belly, raise left leg to the sky. Huge breath in.
Exhale, left foot comes between your hands. Come into the low lunge.
Take a moment to pad the knee, to adjust yourself if you need to. Bring hands to hip to get organized. Giving yourself time to transition well is essential on the mat and in life. Notice your left knee. Is it coming towards the middle? Make sure it's straight, heading towards the left toes, but not in front of the left ankle. Tack your left hip back and your right hip forward. Be kind to that back knee. If it needs adjustment or support, find it. And when you're ready, raise your arms to the sky. Huge breath in and out. Do 2 more there, reaching your fingers tall on the inhale, standing tall, feeling graceful. Exhale, you can do that horse's breath, let it go, whatever feels right and fun. Sometimes it just happens. Letting what happened happens here on the mat. Last breath into that front right hip flexor, giving it a little attention. Our hip flexors keep us sitting all day. They deserve a wee bit of a stretch on a Saturday. Lower hands to the floor. If you have blocks, grab them. Curl your back toes and you'll lift up to the long pyramid. Pyramid pose, both toes are facing front. You might want to widen your stance a little bit. You'll tack that left hip forward and the left hip back, right hip forward. Little subtle smidgy movements make a big shift. Notice your toes, lifting up the 5 front toes, lowering them down. Paying attention to your toes in life is also very important. Toes are essential to balance. Sometimes it just takes a wee little change, adjusting your toes. We think often to find balance in life takes all kinds of things, and very often it's a toe thing. One more breath here into any tight spots that would like some attention. Drop your right heel to the left, cartwheel open to warrior 2. And whether you feel like a warrior or not today, channel it, have a little fun with it. And notice how you feel here. Arms should be reaching balanced in either direction. Notice your toes. Notice the soles of your feet, the outer edge of the back foot. Your gaze, which is your focus or where you're headed, is over that left middle finger, drishti. Another invitation for life that we should have a gaze. We should know where we're headed. We should look somewhere in the future forward intentionally. Not with a less than, but just with a gaze. That's where I'd like to be gazing and looking and moving towards. Huge breath in, filling your heart, growing your spine tall, crown of the head reaches towards the sky. Exhale, sink in, bend that front knee a little bit. Make sure the knee is not in front of the ankle. Flip left palm to sky. Drop right arm down the right thigh. Arch backward into peaceful, elegant, graceful warrior. I've given it a whole lot of new names for fun. It's one of my favorite poses. Enjoy the front rib cage, a spot that rarely gets attention. Send the breath to every nook and cranny, every intercostal muscle fiber, bathing it with oxygen. Breathe in and out. Cartwheel back to warrior 2. Pause for a moment to transition with care. Twist your hips forward, reach arms forward, and hop that back foot out a little wider, coming to warrior 1. Your heel may lift up off the earth. Hips are square to the front, arms reaching tall. And enjoy this slightly different warrior, noticing you can be a warrior in life in lots of different ways. And some ways work better than others. And again, if you're not feeling warrior-like today, just notice how this feels. Sometimes putting our body in different shapes is super helpful. Much of our life experience is in our body. That's also a message from yoga. We blow it off. But how our body feels is a huge piece. In fact, most of the way that we feel as we move through the world, taking good care. Lower hands to heart, palms together, thumbs to your sternum. 2 breaths here, checking in. Lift up onto the tiptoe of your back foot. You'll hop your back foot forward so it's straight to the front. Shift weight into that front foot, and you'll lift your back foot up wherever it wants to go today. Or warrior 3. It may not want to go too high. This side may be very different than the other side. Reaching arms front, side, at hips. Hands to heart is the most stable balanced pose, and sometimes we need that. Use what you've got here. Lower the back foot, coming back to warrior 1. Lower hands to the floor or the blocks. You'll step your back foot forward, coming into a forward fold. Let this one be juicy. We actually haven't done any forward folds today. Release head and neck. You can use the blocks, have elbows on a block. You can have hands to opposite elbow. Knees are bent, letting your back release, your head and neck release. Breathe. And notice your feet. Spend some time finding your center. Learning to re-listen to yourself is a really important practice for life, on and off the mat. Finding your center, finding what feels right, finding what guides you. Letting your toes help. Lift up all 10 toes and lower them down. Lower hands to the floor, engage your belly, and slowly rising up to stand. Let the blood flow settle and adjust. And just give yourself a minute standing in Tadasana or mountain pose. Taking a huge inhale, growing tall. Exhale, let your hands fall open to the front. Just let yourself enjoy. And bring one hand to heart and another hand to top, checking in. Checking in with how your body feels in this moment. And noticing that in yoga, we practice checking in all the time. Might you want to check in more off the mat in life? Only takes a moment. Lowering your hands and opening your eyes, wiggle fingers. Lift up all 10 toes. Lower them down. Lift up onto your tippy toes, coming into a balanced pose here, reaching as high as you can. You may want to bring hands to heart center, staying up tall, noticing the wobbles, letting your ankles do their work. Lifting up high, 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 staying here for another moment, noticing your toes wiggle and wobble. Huge breath in and out, let it go. We'll lower our hands to the floor, and we are going to transition to lying on the floor. Take your time. And when you arrive on the floor, stretch out, spread legs long, arms long by your side, palms open to the sky, feet falling towards the outer edge of the mat. And take a moment here to let it be juicy. Let yourself enjoy it. Notice your body, notice the messages it's sending. And if it's sending you any unkind messages, mind or body, let those be. One yoga class doesn't fix everything. It's just the first step. It's the first class, hopefully, of many, if this is new, or the first of many if it's not new. That's why it's called a practice. It doesn't need to be mastered in one day. Flip your palms to the floor, bend knees, walk soles of the feet and heels towards your rear end, lifting up once again into a bridge pose. If you have a block and you want to do a supported bridge, you can do that. Shimmy your shoulders underneath you. If you are not on the block, lifting hips high, knees energetically connect. Bring hands to the edge of the mat and tug it towards your heels, allowing a little more release. Let it shake a little bit. Enjoy. When you're ready, untuck your shoulders, release your hands, lower your sacrum to the floor, unrolling your spine, unrolling your shoulders. And bring knees into chest and have another little rock. Massage your back. Lower feet to the floor, release the knees. You'll pick up your hips and bring your hips about 6 inches to the left. Roll onto the left hip, draw your knees into your chest, and roll onto the right hip, roll to the right. Roll to whichever side you want, coming into a twist with hips stacked and knees stacked. Right hand can come to the left thigh if you wish. Your opposite arm can come into a cactus or a T. And notice what feels good for your shoulders, your pecs. Relearning how to listen. Letting your heart slow. And while we've done some twists today, this twist is a very different twist. So be kind. More is not better. If you want to gaze to the left, if knees are to the right, do that. If your knees are on the other side, gaze to the opposite side of your knees. And notice where you're holding tension. Send the breath there. Can you soften 1%? If it's fun, you can extend the top leg and roll the ankle in either direction. Notice what happens when you do. Enjoying ankles, hip, shoulders, armpits, fingers. Bring gaze back to center. Bring your left hand by your side. Release the right hand. Bring knees back to center. And you'll pick up your hips and shift them all the way to the opposite side. Roll onto the opposite hip, likely left. Knees will stack, hips will stack, and take a moment to stack and get organized. Hand will rest on the opposite thigh, and your opposite hand, right in my case, will reach all the way to the right or come into a cactus shape. Notice what feels best to your chest, to your arms, and to your shoulders. Breathe. Enjoy.
And when this side feels complete, releasing arms, bring gaze back to center, bring your knees back to center, bring your sacrum back to center. Find your sacrum on the floor, find your shoulder blades on the floor. Take a moment to connect with the earth underneath you, soles of the feet, palms of the hand, waggle your hips a little bit. Find your occiput. Extend legs long, one leg and then the other. And allow yourself to come into final resting pose or Shavasana, the integration pose. Notice if you wish your palms open in a more receptive, receiving spot or facing the earth. Choose one. And allow yourself to soften in here. Let go of control of the breath. Let go of control of your muscles. Allow yourself to surrender for simply a few minutes. And for those of you who wish, you can stay here as long as you want. It's the beauty of Zoom and YouTube yoga. For those who wish to come out, gently deepen your breath. Slowly start to wiggle fingers and toes. Take in a deep breath, deeper, smoother, longer than any breath you've taken today. A huge exhale. Enjoy a delightful stretch, however it feels good to you. And then make your way to a seat, however that transition feels good to you. When you arrive, find your sit bones, your ischial spines, connect them into the earth. Engage your belly, sit up nice and tall. Comfortably, hands rest on your knees, palms open, perhaps thumb and index finger connecting. Taking a moment to thank yourself for taking time today. Taking a moment to appreciate all of those practicing with us today, near and far. Taking a moment to appreciate how it feels after practice. Perhaps setting an intention to bring more of this type of feeling into your life off the mat. Bring one hand to heart, the other hand to top. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. May you all have a beautiful, peaceful, kind, and pleasurable week